Do you wonder whether God has a plan and a purpose for your life? Well, He always has a plan and a purpose for your life, even if you don't recognize it. You need to stay tuned and be encouraged. Welcome to God Answers Prayer. I'm Linda Tiano, your host today, and I want to go to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, and it says, "For Yahweh will never give you the spirit of fear, but the Holy Spirit who gives you mighty power, love, and self-control." Jessica had a rough beginning, but Yahweh used all of it for His glory. She's sharing her story of His path for her life. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. I'm here with Jessica Donaldson. You're a speech pathologist. She says that she stumbles.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your life, because you had a bit of a rugged start.
Yes. Well, so basically grew up in a small farming town in California. We were homeschooled, and then we knew something was going on with my brother. He was misdiagnosed, and then fast forward to, I was 4th grade, we moved to New Mexico, and then he just really had a lot of hard time, lots of bullying, really, the doctors really didn't know what was going on. They put him on the wrong medication, and then he had a really bad side effect, and then he ended up in the institution or hospitalized. And we used to call it, back then it was an institution, and now it was just like the mental hospital. And then, but a good thing that happened is then somebody thought, hey, autism. So then he was let out, and then we went through the proper diagnosis, but it was a pretty traumatic experience of how it happened, and it happened over Thanksgiving, and I was in 8th grade at the time, and for me, it was very impactful, and that was just, we got the diagnosis, but then it was pretty dark for a while in terms of trying to get services, and a lot of challenging behaviors, and but yeah, so that's just what started me on the journey and why I do what I do now.
But you were from a family of believers.
Yes.
And I knew that when you said homeschool.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to let go.
Nope. And my mom and my dad, they definitely were strong in the faith, and they, we went to church, but more than that is they taught me to have that relationship with Christ. And so during the hard times, my mom, we just prayed, and God really showed my mom what to do, and not like, things didn't happen perfectly, but we just had God. I don't see how people do it without God, because it was really hard. And at the time, 30 years ago, we didn't know what we know now. And so a lot of people didn't want to work with my brother or our family, and they said, oh, he's too old. So sometimes it was really dark. And yeah.
A lot of people didn't even believe there was such a thing, didn't they? Is that right?
Well, many years ago they didn't, but at the time he was more, because it's a level, there's a range of autism, and so he was more what we now call ASD level 2, but so he was right mid-range, and people didn't know how to help at the time, and so he was misdiagnosed. But once he got the proper diagnosis, he was older, so he was in high school, and so people just wanted to work with little kids. So,
and yeah, because I know today in a lot of the school systems, I don't know about New Mexico, but they have specialty areas and teachers that have been trained in that way to help students.
Yeah, and so we now have like special education, and we have a lot of great teachers, but I still think we're still learning more. And I'm at the clinic where, at my clinic, we work a lot with adults, but the field is still not where it needs to be in terms of understanding and how we can help everybody on the spectrum.
So for those listening that may not understand what autism is, can you kind of give an example?
So you have individuals that we'd call ASD level 3 who are not able to speak. Those we were able to identify. They're not able to talk. So if you have a child who's 2 and they're not talking, that's a sign like, hey, let's get some help. And it may not be autism, but right away you definitely want to get services started. But definitely not those who aren't able to talk. And then you have individuals who are able to talk, speak in grammatically correct sentences, but really just struggle with those social skills, with making friends, keeping friends, and understanding like the unwritten social rules in a situation. And they often have an average IQ to above average IQ, but just struggle socially. And then you have individuals in the middle, more with my brother.
Right. So, and yeah, I mean, a lot of these people are very, very, very smart. And yeah, so it's just finding those pathways of communication to not only help themselves, but I mean to help for others to be helped.
Yeah, well, and
knowing how to navigate it.
Yeah, and so we look at like the communication and that the language and the ability to make friends, keep friends, or what we call social skills, but then also that patterns of behaviors, and sometimes tend to be very structured, and when you break the routine, they can get really dysregulated and sometimes act out. Whereas with my brother, there were times where he destroyed the second story of our house and was throwing things out, and so we had to call the police, and just because when he got upset, he got really, really upset. And now things are so much better because we got the right therapists and the right clinicians, and so.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned you'd had SWAT show up.
Yes, that was early on in the after he got diagnosed. So I'll backtrack just a little bit, where he got hospitalized because of the adverse effect to the medication. Then he got back out. But when they put him back in school right away, and I remember my mom said she had a gut feeling of like, no, I should not put him back in school. He wasn't ready. But she didn't listen to that, and she listened to the school, and she put him back in school. And the kids found out that he was in the hospital, the mental hospital, and then they were brutal. They thought it was funny to pretend to be his friends and teach him all the wrong things to do. And it was really horrific. And he didn't tell us everything that was going on. We found out about it later because of that difficulty with communication. But one time he got really upset, and he locked himself in his room, and we couldn't get him out. So then we called the police, and then they came. But then he saw the police and got scared, so then he made a weapon, fashioned like a knife and wrapped it around a cord. So then he now had a weapon. So then they called the SWAT out. They barricaded our street, and then they had us across the street. And I was still in high school at the time, and I just remember seeing officers pointed their guns at the window, and luckily they were so great, they called in negotiators and they got him out. But I just remember at that time just praying, oh God, please save my brother. And then he went back to the hospital. But I mean, that was just one of the times they were called.
And you didn't feel like why did you not feel like you were ever going to graduate from high school?
So that was my personal story. Whereas at the time I was there helping my brother, but I also had some other stuff that I struggled with that I got later diagnosed with high school, because I had some personal trauma when I was a kid that resurfaced, and I really was struggling with some anxiety and depression, and it was really bad that I wasn't able to go to school, and I overheard the doctors talk to my mom of like, hey, she may not be able to graduate high school because of the stuff that I was personally going through. So at the time, my brother was dealing with the autism. And then I would start having my challenges really around sophomore, junior year in high school. And that's when I got closer to God, because it was God that really got me through.
Yeah.
So, and then hearing that just motivated me that I was going to graduate. So you
not only graduated, but you got a PhD.
yes, yes, and that was all God, because I remember, it's silly, but I saw a magnet one day that said, "What would you do if you couldn't fail?" And then I was like, I'd go for my doctorate, and so I did. So I got my master's degree, then started my private practice, and then I just went for it because there was
And your PhD is in what?
Special education.
Okay.
So my master's is in speech, my doctorate's in special education, and I did my research on a social skills intervention for teenagers with autism. So yeah.
Yeah, so God really did have a plan.
He did have a plan. And sometimes I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. He showed up.
And you've taught in conferences, and
Yes.
You have a business now, right?
Yeah. It's just down the street, like 10 minutes from here.
Yeah.
So we do speech therapy, occupational therapy, and then we also do diagnosis. And so all the way from little ones to a lot of adults who sometimes, know something's different, but they don't know what, and then we help.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there dealing with this, and they don't know where to go. And you obviously are Christ-based in your approach to things. So you're able to really help people in that manner.
Yes.
To navigate the situations that they face.
Yeah. Well, and I had definitely, because we take insurance and we take Medicaid, and over probably 70% of our folks are with Medicaid, we treat everybody, and I can't necessarily involve my personal relationship. Like, I can't share my testimony because as a clinician,
right.
I'm Dr. Donaldson and I provide services, but when God allows the opportunity, then I'm always happy to share.
Right. But you're still who you are.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
It's pretty obvious, I think, to people that there's something different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like God's really blessed the clinic, and we have a lot of great clinicians, and we help a lot of people, I don't want people to go through what me and my brother went through and our family went through.
Yeah. So did you start the clinic?
Yeah, it's like 17 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
And I started just working with a lot of adults. In New Mexico, we have the DD waivers, so I did a lot of just home visits and in day programs. And then probably, I think maybe 7-8 years ago, I had an actual facility now. And so we see little kids, and so we see them at the clinic, and then we still go into homes. So,
what a wonderful gift the Lord has placed in your hands. Yeah. Because this is, I was reading about autism the other day. It has grown exponentially.
Yeah. And I think, I just remember when my parents first got the diagnosis, it was a different time, but it was also very scary, and we didn't know what to do. And, he was having a lot of explosive behaviors. And I just wanted to give hope, because now it's a lot less scary, but when you get it, to help the families walk through it and know that, that they're not alone. And there's also, I don't think God makes mistakes. I don't care what diagnosis, what label, God doesn't make a mistake. And I think there's differences of the brain, and that, some things might be more challenging, but there are other things that they're better at. So a lot of everybody that I work with and that we work with is helping them find their God-given talent and what they're really good at.
Yeah.
And then supporting those areas where they need.
And it seems like that they're finding more and more about maybe what causes this to happen at times, that triggers the, whether it was a weakness was already there, but something that can trigger that and make it full blown. It's hard. It's hard to think about, and it's hard to think about with children. But praise God that you've got a pathway to help people.
Yeah.
So well, we kind of covered this, but why speech pathology?
So I had somebody, so when my brother got diagnosed, it was at the Center for Developmental Disabilities here locally. They had this training program for parents. And I, as a high schooler, I went to all the training. And there was one lady that I met, and she was a speech pathologist. So I was debating between speech pathology and occupational therapy. And she said, the greatest gift you can give somebody is the ability to communicate. And I felt like that is so true. So that's why I chose speech pathology. Because, I mean, we do so much more than just talking. A lot of it is really that communication and social interaction. And sometimes we have kids who can't talk, so we give them a communication device, or we use pictures to help them to communicate. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wow. As we're talking here today, are you wondering what God's plan for your life is? Have you met Him personally? Have you made that commitment to His only begotten Son, the Son of His love, the greatest gift of love ever given to mankind, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah? You know, the Word tells us that no one comes to Yeshua unless the Father draws them. And if you're feeling that tugging on your heart, you're hearing things today, maybe even tears have been flowing, and it's touched something deep inside of you, and you know there's got to be more, then today, let today be that day that you say, I believe that Yeshua died for my sins, and He shed His blood to wash me clean. And I receive Him right now as my personal Lord and Savior, and I will, with His help, confess Him before men. If you said that, give us a call. We've got prayer partners that would love to pray with you. We want to make sure you have a Bible, and the number is right there on the bottom of the screen. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. I'm here with Jessica Donaldson. And Jessica, you had mentioned you never give up, hold on to the promises of God.
Yeah. Well, and I think back in high school when it was like looking pretty dark, I was like, God, you have to use it. I'm going to push through this, but I want you to use me one day to help others. And God spoke to me that He would. And I feel like God has promises for each one of us. Amen. And it doesn't matter what you've been through or what diagnosis or how bleak. Each day is a new day. Each moment is a new day. And that God can meet you right there. And sometimes I remember reading the Word and being like, oh, it doesn't apply to me, right? Like, it must have been for other people. And even when you don't believe it, you just hold on to it, because if I could have, I'd never imagined that I'd be where I am today, and that I get to help as many people as I get to help. And I love what I do. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that you spoke, God's promises are true for you, no matter what the label, the diagnosis, or what you've been through, even if you don't feel worthy.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when you go through a process or you get certain labels, the shame, even though, we've gotten so much better nowadays, there still is, at least for me, there was certain shame, or for clients that I've worked with, or my brother. And it's really, God loves you, God doesn't make mistakes, and He has a plan for you. And He can use it. And I think I'm able to connect so much more with my families that I work with, because I've been through a lot of it, and I may not have been through their exact situation, but having a brother with autism, I can relate.
So what prayers has God answered in your life?
I don't know, everything. The fact that, He's blessed me with this amazing clinic, and I have some amazing clinicians. My brother is doing so much better. He is happy, and he has, just in every area. I can't think of an area that he hasn't. And He's always showed up. And I feel like God uses me to help others and what I've been through. And so that's the biggest blessing and the biggest prayer that He's answered.
And when have you felt the closest to God?
Probably some of the darkest times is when I felt the closest. I would probably say 2 years ago, both of my parents, I was finishing my doctorate, I was about to defend, and I was at the end of like, oh, I'm so tired. And my mom got a diagnosis of cancer, terminal cancer, and then 2 weeks later, my dad got a diagnosis of terminal cancer. And so in the midst of my PhD, and I really thought I was going to break and I couldn't go on, but I just leaned into God, and God showed up. And thankfully, my mom lived 6 months after that, and I got 6 more months. I got a holiday season with her, and then she was now with the Lord, and then I got another 6 months with my dad, and then he went to be with the Lord. But during that season, I think it was one of the hardest, but God, I've never felt closer to God.
And in the midst of all of that, you became, I guess, the primary caretaker for your brother.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So then, and this was actually a miracle. So my mom is in the hospital. They lived 20 minutes from us, and I knew she could not live on her own, but I did not want to put her in a nursing home because then she would not get the chemo, and she needed it every single day to stay alive. So we were praying, and then my husband, he was like, hey, well, let's get them a house. So literally the night God prompted us to look for a house for my mom, that house went on the market. It was less than a mile from our house. We called our realtor. We put an offer in, and there was somebody else that put an offer in the same day, but we were able to get the house, and we were able to get my brother's all the stuff located from that house into the new house. We were able to buy and get my mom all in time before my mom was discharged. So she was in the hospital for like 2.5 months. But I mean, that was a miracle because otherwise I don't know what we would have done.
Yeah. So is your brother, does he live independently or?
No, so we have staff, and then I also help take care of him.
Yeah.
And so, but he's a mile from where me, my husband, and my kids live.
Right.
So,
okay.
But then I also go over there and help take care of him. So I'm
Yeah.
one of his caretakers.
Right.
But the state, we have one of the best in the country, the DD waiver, and it provides some resources. So I have other support to help take care of my brother.
Perfect. So the whole situation then with the services that you offer, and it's like you said, it's helping them along the journey to discover their giftings. So important to build not only their character, but to really build them up.
Yes.
And not to feel like they're, I don't know what the word would be, but just kind of swept to the side in a way, because they really do have something to offer.
Right. One also part of the autism is that difficulty connecting with others just because their brain works differently. And so a hard time with socially interacting and making friends. So often it can be very lonely. So a lot of it is help them to understand how their brain works and help them to understand other people, so that way that they can make connections and build that sense of community, because oftentimes it can be very lonely. So that's what we do a lot of.
And so you said your offices are just down the street here from us.
Yeah.
And people can get in touch with you. And
they can call our office. They can look us up on the internet. And like, we're autism specialists. We can get set up. And a lot of our clients are Medicaid or through insurance. And insurance does cover what we do.
So does autism ever get to a point where maybe things get better? I mean, where there's a higher level of being able to exist?
Yes. Well, I think it doesn't matter what level, because we have ASD level 1, level 2, level 3, and that just has to do with the symptoms.
Right.
And we can always see improvement, but there's a drastic difference from where my brother was, like, say, 15 years ago to today. And so he is a lot more independent, and a lot of our folks, we see progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not because of medication
No,
necessarily.
there is no medication for autism. So sometimes people might see a psychiatrist to treat secondary symptoms of like either anxiety or depression, but there is no medication to treat autism.
Okay.
A lot of it is through, services like speech therapy, occupational therapy. There's counseling, there's applied behavioral analysis, but there's a lot that you can also do with like movement to help, and that's through with occupational therapy, where you would create a sensory diet to help your body with that sensory overstimulation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so I know, like with children, like you said, a lot of times by age 2, it will start showing up.
Yes.
Can there be help in getting them into a place where if they are not socially interactive, getting them into a place where they have more social interaction? Does that help?
Oh, absolutely. And we do groups here at the clinic, but like little play groups as well as like teenage groups. I mean, all through the ages. There's stuff at the clinic. You can also, if we're seeing autism, also the school, they can get set up with the school earlier as well. But there's a lot more supports nowadays.
And some of the people that have struggled with that are actually brilliant people. I mean, they've got things to offer society.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially if you're ASD like level 1, oftentimes you have a higher IQ. But even, I think, our folks who are ASD level 3 or individuals who aren't speaking, there is a lot that's in there. It's just sometimes being able to get that communication system in place. And there's a lot of adults who are now struggling to fit in, who are now able to get a diagnosis, and we can help.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think this has been really important for all of us to hear, that there's hope.
Yes.
And if you're out there and you feel like there's no hope for you, whatever the cause, whatever's happening in your life, don't feel like no one cares, because people do care. We care, and we want you to call us. We'd love to pray with you and pray the Word of God over you. We've got wonderful prayer partners, and they will just love on you. So give us a call. The number's on the bottom of the screen. Thank you for joining with us. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His countenance upon you and give you His everlasting peace. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you for joining us today on God Answers Prayer. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our program, please contact us by visiting kchftv.org and click on Share Your Testimony. Our prayer partners are here to pray for your needs. Call us today at 505-345-4165. We appreciate your prayers and support. Join us again next time for more inspiring stories and testimonies. Remember, God is always listening, and He answers our prayers in His perfect timing.